DOGE was there for a reason. The president wanted to make the government smaller. And for whatever reason, the Democrats are very happy to oblige. News today that over 4,700 employees, 4,700, nearly 5,000 employees at the IRS, employees at the Environmental Protection Association, and employees at HUD, they are out of jobs. Apparently 7 agencies altogether have been affected, and yet there's no apparent plan for the Democrats to get back on board. No, they keep coming up with crazy stuff, as Mike Johnson so well articulated earlier today. I want to go to the floor where Mike Johnson is saying, you know what, these people are wasting our time and they are wasting our money, our taxpayer dollars.
And they would send $500 million to liberal news outlets by refunding the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. It would also restore up to $5 billion of American taxpayer funds for wasteful spending for international projects. Here's a couple of examples. This is in their legislation, their counterproposal on the CR to keep the lights open. This is what they want to do. They want to spend $24.6 million of your hard-earned dollars as a taxpayer for climate resilience in Honduras. They want to spend $13.4 million for civic engagement in Zimbabwe. They want to send $3.9 million for LGBTQI plus democracy grants in the Western Balkans. They want to spend $2.9 million of your dollars for desert locust risk reduction in the Horn of Africa. And $2 million for, quote, organizing for feminist democratic principles in Africa. We are not doing that. These are unserious proposals from unserious people, and they're playing games while real Americans are being harmed adversely by the shutdown.
I mean, you can't make it up. They had a good thing going for a while, did they not? I mean, they had all kinds of ways of paying off their journalist friends in the name of, State Department marketing, I guess. Global aid, U.S. global aid. Unbelievable what has been uncovered by DOGE. And now we're in an environment where, guess what? They just handed Donald Trump a blank slate. And Russ Vought, He's been chomping at the bit for a while. He was a heritage. He was part of Project 2025. He's like, we need to slim down the government. And by the way, we do. And this has been his passion. And he wants to do it. And now they just gave him the opportunity to do it. And for some reason, they still don't get it. They don't get it. No, they have to fight for the $1.5 trillion that they want for healthcare spending that would go primarily to illegals that they invited into this country. Carte blanche, right? To put up in hotels, to give free vouchers to, and free healthcare. It's honestly nuts.
For working class Americans, that's their priorities.
But it depends on who the they are. There are enough Republicans on a piece of legislation, if all the Democrats supported it, that would extend those Obamacare subsidies for 1 year.
I think our
just
position
on the policy,
been,
would you support that?
I think I've been very clear, which is that is not a proposal that I'm prepared to support at this particular point in time. Well, it's very simple, because working class Americans, everyday Americans, and middle class Americans deserve the same level of certainty and assurance as to their health care costs in an environment that the cost of living is already out of control, electricity prices through the roof, housing costs through the roof, grocery costs through the roof, now tens of millions of Americans about to experience dramatically increased premiums, copays, and deductibles. We should provide these everyday Americans
but what about
with the
reopening
same type
the
of
government?
certainty.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I understand that. What about supporting that along with reopening the government? Because the Republicans don't feel that they are feeling any political pain now. I mean, you saw the White House, the OMB director put out something about that they're battening down the hatches because they're paying troops, law enforcement, and they're making permanent cuts to the federal workforce while this shutdown is happening.
Republicans have been engaging in mass firings and attacking hardworking federal employees since the very beginning of Donald Trump's presidency. And so to the extent that this is continuing, it's more of the same. Cruelty for them is the point. We've been very clear as Democrats, again, we'll find a bipartisan path forward. We want to reopen the government. We want to make sure that our hardworking federal employees and civil servants get paid. but we also have to address the Republican healthcare crisis. And the American people clearly know who shut the government down. Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. They are blaming them because it's their responsibility. And
they're not
they've
blaming
adopted a my way or the highway approach from the very beginning of this presidency, and that unfortunately has continued through this shutdown.
I want to play something that the New York City Democratic mayoral candidate is already.
They're not blaming them, okay? Even the New York Times took a poll, and Chuck Schumer can hardly believe it. He's calling the New York Times biased right now because of their poll. The poll which says, Americans blame, dun, 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 wait for it, Hakeem Jeffries, you, and the Democrats, and Chuck Schumer, and Nancy Pelosi, and AOC, and Bernie Sanders, and all of them. Throw Elizabeth Warren in there too while you're at it. By the way, it was Columbus Day yesterday. Not Indigenous Peoples Day. Columbus Day by executive order. Columbus, great man. We wouldn't actually... Without him, I digress. The point being, we don't have the money to spend on all these ridiculous pet projects. I got a kick out of the trans frogs. I'm looking at Don Bacca's comment. We don't have the money. And even if we did, we don't want to spend it on crazy projects to nothing. We actually have to be judicious with our money. Why not have the government act more like a family? And you know what kind of family? I realize, I'm going to give you a quick little story. Growing up, small town in New Hampshire, live free or die country. We had some wonderful neighbors live next door. Really, really like hardcore conservatives. Really like wonderful, live free or die conservatives. The wife was from Mississippi, actually, originally. The husband was from Maine. They had 3 daughters, all of whom used to babysit me at one point or another. And just a terrific family. And one of the things that I later in life grew to admire that I learned about this family is that the husband, he was an airline pilot. Every time he got a raise, it didn't matter. It just went into the bank. He never actually, his poor wife, right? She was like making the kids clothes and everything, but he never would spend more. It's like the family, just because you're making more money doesn't mean you need to necessarily spend more. Okay, so this is the theory, right? With Gene Sperling, who was head of the Economic Council. I got into a big to-do with him one day. Management was actually kind of mad at Bloomberg over this because Gene kept telling me, well, you're not spending more as a percentage of GDP. You got to keep spending more and more and more. And I'm like, but wait, why? Just because GDP or our economy is growing, why do we have to spend more? I'm thinking about the family next door to us in New Hampshire. Their GDP was growing. They were making more as a family, but they didn't spend more. No, they saved it or they invested it. And you know what? Why can't we actually think more logically about things? But you can't, because Democrats want to spend their money. They want your money. They want to take it, and they want to take it for themselves and reallocate it to the voters that they want to vote for them. You see, there was a method to the madness with bringing everybody here right across the border illegally, was there not? Oh, and now you got to pay for their health care. Listen to Hakeem Jeffries getting called out on CNN. I love this clip. I do realize that Jake Tapper's probably looking for a job at Fox, but nonetheless, I'll take it.
Donald Trump blessed it as well.
So let me ask you about a provision that the Republicans are talking about quite a bit. I know you want to talk about, and Democrats want to talk about, extending the Obamacare subsidies, which expire at the end of 2025. But they talk about the provisions, and it's right here, subtitle E, and this has to do with the repeal of health care subtitle changes, and specifically what it is. How they characterize it is, you want to give health insurance to undocumented immigrants. I understand that.
I like that. How you want to characterize it, or they want to characterize it, is you want to give health care to undocumented immigrants. Watch what Hakeem says next.
It's not really an accurate depiction, but what it does do is...
It's a lie.
It's a lie, but what you support...
Not really.
...does bring back funding for emergency Medicaid to hospitals, some of which does pay for undocumented immigrants and people who don't have health insurance. And also, there is this provision, and it's not about undocumented immigrants, it's about people with asylum seekers and people with temporary protected status, et cetera, but about their ability to get Medicaid. So they're non-citizens, they're not undocumented, they're not illegal. Why even include that in a bill, knowing that they're going to seize right upon that and use that to message? I understand that.
He's got no answer. He's got no answer. So they refuse to take blame, and now we've got thousands laid off from government jobs because of the shutdown and because of the Democrats. And don't sit there and tell me that the Republicans should fold here. They're actually sticking up for something. Listen, you could get a clean CR through. That would be the thing to do. Okay, now I'm not going to wonk out on you too much today. Don't worry. But you could do a clean CR and then you could continue to negotiate. But they don't want to do that. They want that $1.5 trillion in there that was put in as a special provision back during 2020 when the whole country shut down. I said it shouldn't, but they did it anyway, right? They shut down the country because of 2020. And you know what they did with that in terms of making it political, et cetera. You knew at the time. I knew at the time. I mean, I was trying to warn everybody, but just got myself in a whole lot of trouble. That's okay. Again, it all worked out for the best because I'm here and I'm having way more fun. And you know what? I'd take that trade any day of the week. Any day. I mean that. Make sure you subscribe, share, like. It's very, very important.